Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Break Thru U podcast, where we focus on breaking through mindsets and we focus on really bending that mindset to through discipline, through commitment, and really going beast mode on it. There's a lot of things that we need to be doing that we're not doing, and there's a lot of things that we should be doing that we're not doing. But I think when it comes to mindset, it's really how do we overcome that? And we here at the Break Thru U podcast really like talking to guests in regards to challenges and successes. And anytime that we see someone that is successful, we want to be like them. We want that, but then we don't want what they went through. And we don't want to sleep in the car. We don't want to just eat beans and rice. We don't want to do the sacrifice and the commitment and the consistency and falling in love with the process and embracing the pain that comes along with the process in order to get to that finished goal. And so we are super excited to speak with guests, and we have an amazing guest, Whitney Wiser, who has joined us this afternoon just to talk about mindset. And I am really I'm super excited because, Whitney, you have such an amazing story. I heard you on Danny D's podcast with Spread the Positive, and Trent Denson. I'm telling you, I love Trent Denson. Spread the Positive is incredible. We do a little networking, but it's just, your story is incredible. So I spent time for my podcast, but this one I spent some time. Your story is just incredible, and it touched my life. Just listening to the podcast and digging into a little bit of your story. And so without further ado, welcome Whitney to the Break Thru U podcast. Super excited to have you. So thank you and welcome.
Oh my gosh, that was the best intro ever. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. This is talking about mindset and overcoming. That's what I love to talk about. So
no, definitely. I understand you are an entrepreneur. You are the owner of the Nashville FIT show. Spent some time yesterday and today just listening to some of your interviews, and oh man, it's some good stuff. I'm like, wow. Some of your guests are just incredible. I was gaining so much knowledge through it. I always go through myself. It's like, I want to be a good student. I always want to be a good student, because it doesn't matter in my mind. It doesn't really matter how far or how much you attain something. You can always learn. And I think when you get to that point where you're like, you know what, I know everything, then you really know nothing in my mind. Yeah. And so you're an entrepreneur, owner of Nashville FIT show. People can reach you at wiser.fit. Your website is sick. I love everything that you got going on there. So hopping into our conversation, what caused you to go in the direction of the health and fitness industry, or not even just the industry? Take the industry out. What caused you to change your direction to go into health and fitness, and what was the story behind that?
Something that was in me since a very young age. I remember being a teenager and playing all the sports I could possibly, whatever time there was in the day, it was filled with sports practices. I couldn't play every sport because there just wasn't enough time in the day, and there were overlapping practices. So I just loved being competitive, being athletic. It was kind of like my purpose at the time. And I can remember being a lifeguard as a teenager and really wanting abs. So I started okay, I'm going to do 100 crunches a day. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working. How else can I get this? And so I was just intrigued by it all. So I started trying to learn and just be the best that I could be in sports and athletics. So
it kind of just took you down that road of, hey, I'm going to envelop myself in this. And the more that you dug in, the more you found, hey, this is something that I enjoy. And it ended up turning to be your purpose and your mission and just everything about, when people say Whitney Wise, there's the health and fitness is attached to that. Your name and health and fitness are synonymous together with that. So that's incredible.
Yeah. I think each one of us, we're created for a specific and a unique purpose. We all have a unique purpose. And so I think we're born with just natural tendencies to be, and fitness is just one of those for me. Like I was just passionate about it. I was interested in it for whatever reason. And that's the road I started going down. So each of us have like different things that we get excited about or we're passionate about and that just intrigue us for whatever reason. And so that's kind of what it was for me, I think.
And so I think that not only being a fitness coach, maybe life coach, but you're actually in the business of adding on to people's lives, right? Because like, if they're going a certain way, they're probably, their life expectancy could be longer by being fit. So that just hit me right now. It's like you're in the industry of extending people's life spans, and by doing that through health and fitness. So that's really cool. So what got you into being an entrepreneur in the health and fitness industry?
Man, it's been a long road with a lot of ups and downs and change of direction and all of that. I worked a corporate job straight out of college for several years. I actually have my degree in marketing and business management. It's nothing to do with fitness, nothing fitness related. I have no formal education in health and fitness, believe it or not. So that's just where my passion was. So I just learned through experience. But I worked a corporate job for a while, wasn't happy sitting at a desk from 8 to 5 every single day, doing the same thing every single day. It was just like death to me. It provided a really stable income and stable living for a very long time. And I'm grateful for that, but it just wasn't, I didn't wake up excited to go to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I was already competing at that time. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, if I could just wear gym clothes all day, every day, that's my life dream. And so I had really low standards at that point. I'm like, that's all I want to do is wear workout clothes every day. So I ended up leaving my job and started training people. Well, actually, I started training people before I left my job because people would ask me constantly to train them. And I'm like, I'm not a trainer. Like, what do you want me to do? And like, people would bug me about it for like a year. And then finally I was like, okay, I'll train you. I started training people. But I didn't think I could do it before that. So I think that's why I hesitated. And I almost had to like build up my own confidence level for like a year before I would start training people. So I did that. I started training people, took a major pay cut in that for a while. And I did it for a few years, but then I'm like, there's something more. Like this isn't it for me. Like it was great, but there's, I don't know, I'm missing something. And what I started seeing was, the nutrition, the dieting, the workouts, this is all great, but everybody has other reasons why they're not already in shape or blocking factors as to why they need this. And whatever diet I give them, whatever training workout I give them, I could give them the perfect routine if there was one. It wouldn't matter if they didn't have the right mindset to execute it. If they have things like in their past that they're dealing with and they can't break free from limiting beliefs that they have or things like that, they're never going to progress in their fitness journey. And so I started going down a long road of like mindset myself and like, why was I able to overcome these things and like really trying to figure out why and how I could help people more. And so I have skipped so many parts in the story, but leading to kind of what I do now is I own and host the Nashville FIT show, which is one of the only all-female shows in the world because I'm super passionate about empowering women. But outside of that, I host workshops. I do coaching, which is mostly posing coaching, but now like I call it posing and purpose coaching, like coaching people on like, what do you really want out of this journey? Like competing is great. It really serves a purpose. It'll teach you how to be resilient, how to be more organized. It'll teach you lots of things, but what do you really want in life? And so I always go into these deep conversations while I'm teaching girls how to pose. And it's just like, because that's just naturally what I do. And so hosting workshops, doing posing and purpose coaching, and then hosting retreats for women as well now. On really the retreat part of it is what I've only been doing for about a year now.
How's that working out?
Really good. Yeah.
It seems like there's the retreats are like so much in demand that if you can tap into that niche market, like it's really incredible, especially if you know what you're doing and you're really good at it and you got the personality for it, you're able to be compelling. Like that's incredible.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. I just kind of combined other things that I was passionate about, like travel. I like to travel. I like freedom of my time and my money. I just like freedom of everything, basically. And then I love to network with other like-minded women that are going the same direction as I am. So I'm like, how can I combine all of these? And just hosting retreats. I get to travel. And I've got like a girl gang of women that I get to be associated with that I can help grow. They'll help me grow and we can learn from each other. And so I have got one coming up in Costa Rica actually in a couple of weeks, but that's going really well. I didn't know how, I guess, trendy the whole retreat thing is now, but it really is. And I wouldn't say I know what I'm doing. Like I just kind of figure things out as I go, but I created such a name and a platform for myself in the fitness industry that's my audience. I already have an audience. And so I'm just basically taking them on a different journey in a different direction. Like have the stage have to be successful there, but there is more to life. So let's go this way and let's really dive in deeper and let's figure out what your purpose is. And are you living the life that you want, that you love, that you're excited about? If not, let's figure out how to make that life. So in a nutshell.
I think my good friend of mine, Carla, and her husband, she's from Costa Rica and she's there now with her visiting her father and her family. But I think that's what people really are drawn to, Whitney, is that it's not like this organized system. It's more or less, hey, I'm just putting something together that works for me. And people are like, hey, I like that. And it's just being unique. And it's kind of like you said, and like I say, like Whitney Wiser in health and fitness, like Cohen, and like it's kind of like one and the same. And then like you've set yourself apart by thinking outside of the box and being unique. Because like that was my, a couple of my other questions as well, is like, being an entrepreneur, like what was one of your biggest challenges in starting out in being an entrepreneur? Because I know within the first 2 to 3 years, a high percentage of entrepreneurs and businesses go under because of multiple different factors. So within that time period, like what were some of your biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur?
So many challenges. Oh my gosh.
I know, there's so many.
I remember, I think I first started considering myself an entrepreneur when I started the show, the Nashville FIT show, because I had trained people, up until that point. And I guess technically I would be an entrepreneur doing that, but you're not really managing multiple projects when you're training people. You're training people, diet, workout. It's pretty easy. So I started the show and I had no clue how to promote a show. Like I had competed in them, I judged them, I'd helped backstage at them. I kind of had a good idea, on how aspects of the show ran, but I had never run one before. And there is no guidebook on how to promote your first bodybuilding show. There's none of that,
or being a parent, right? It's like life doesn't give you an instruction booklet on anything. It's like you just learn as you go, and then you learn from mistakes and other people's mistakes.
Yeah. And so the first year that I started the show, like I was broke, had no money. Like it was basically just kind of a last minute Hail Mary like idea. Like I was passionate about it, but I had to make money too. So I borrowed money from my dad. Like I went to my dad. I'm like, look, Dad, I just need like $5,000. And I never ask. I hate asking for money. So my dad was like, God, if you're asking me for money, then you must need it. So here you go. And I'm like, I'll pay you back as soon as the show happens. And at this point, it's just an idea, in your mind that you try to explain to people like your vision, but it doesn't exist yet. So it's like hard to explain. And so I did that, and everybody, like some of the advice that I was given was really horrible. I was told it would not be successful because it was just for women. I wanted to be only for women. And they're like, oh, you're giving up half your entry fee money. You're not going to be successful. You're not going to make money on this. And then other people would say, you're a good goal for your first year is to break even. If you break even, you did good. I'm thinking, no, I can't. Like, I'm at the end of, like, I can't break even.
You can't break even.
And so it was extremely stressful. I was just like over planning and trying to anticipate like every obstacle and everything that might come up so I could be as prepared as possible when the show came. But I think the fact that it had to work and failure wasn't an option for me, I had to make it work. And so it sucks being under that kind of pressure, but for me, I thrive under pressure. So when I'm under the gun like that, I will make it happen. It's not very good for my stress management, my anxiety level, and all of that. But I get it done. And so the first year or two, the first couple years were really, really rough. And I never wanted to ask for help. I didn't know how to delegate. And then finally, like during the third year, I started realizing, hey, I probably need some help, and slowly started relinquishing a few things. But that's been the hardest struggle for me. Being an entrepreneur is being able to delegate things out and having a wrong mindset in the beginning on nobody else can do this like me. I'm the only one that can do this, when really you can teach somebody to do certain things. But I had the wrong mindset. I'm like, nope, only I can do this. And so I would just stress myself out day in and day out, like learning how to be a designer, learning how to be a production manager, like all these things that I didn't know how to do, that I would just have to figure out. So I'd say that was my biggest struggle, is taking everything on myself and not delegating when I should.
Yeah, that's so true, because I think we can only do so much, and your business gets stagnated when you try to do everything, and then oftentimes you're not good at anything. And I work in the financial industry, and I see a lot of business owners, and business owners are good at what they do, right? You're good at what you do, and that's why I tell people, like, you need a good lawyer, a good CPA, and a good banker. You got to have a team around you that are going to be able to help you and support you in your goal. And it's like, because if you try to do it on your own, it's going to be really hard, and you're probably going to be one of those statistics, sadly to say, within the first 2 to 3 years. But it's good. And then it's a lot of it is, I think, is that trust. Like, it's like can't trust, you have to trust someone, and it's like they're not going to do it the way you want it done, and you have to like let that go and like trust people, and be able to hire people or network with people that have the same mindset. And that is so true. Let me ask you this, Whitney. What was the life event that almost took you out of the fitness industry?
Yeah. So that was, I had been competing for just about 2 years, a little over 2 years at the time. And I started competing in 2009, the year I graduated from college. And by 2011, I was competing at the national level, having a lot of success, unexpected success, being kind of still new in the sport, but I was doing really well and gaining a lot of momentum. And then that was going great. Personal life wasn't going so great. I was in a really abusive relationship, but I had made the decision finally to leave the relationship. And so after I made that decision, about a week later, my ex calls me up and is like very emotional, wanted to talk about things. And so I was at work at the time. And so I finally just agreed. I was like, fine, just meet me in the parking lot of my job on my lunch break, and, we can talk about it, whatever. And so he gets there, I get in his vehicle. We talk for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? This is just a waste of time. This is completely toxic situation. It's not good for either of us. And so I get out of the vehicle. I start walking back across the parking lot to go back into the building. He pulls out of the parking space and then just floors it toward me, never lets off the gas. And so he hits me. And from, very close, but he hits me. I get caught underneath the vehicle, drags me across the parking lot. And then whenever I was let go, the rear tire of the SUV rolled over my midsection, crushed my spine, broke all my ribs, and was just left there. So I was completely conscious the whole time. I never lost consciousness, which is odd. But there were 2 eyewitnesses that saw this. One saw the entire thing and called 911 immediately. And the other just kind of caught the very end of it. But that one, he actually happened to be a former EMT, which is by the grace of God, because if he wouldn't have been there, I would be paralyzed today 100%, because I was in so much pain. I know I would have tried to get up, because I just didn't know like the severity of what had happened, with my back and everything. I was just in a lot of pain. So I would have tried to get up, but he would not let me. He held my head and neck, kept it straight, wouldn't let me get up. The other eyewitness was on the phone with 911. The cops got there immediately, and I was completely coherent through all of this. I told him exactly make, model, what he drove, the direction that he went, all the information. They caught him, took him to jail within minutes. And then I was transported to Vanderbilt Medical Center, where I had to undergo emergency back surgery to have metal rods and screws inserted into my spine. And so from that point on, like I had to relearn everything. I had to learn how to walk again. The doctor said, you probably will never compete again. Well, I didn't say probably. They're like, you will never compete again. Just kind of try to wrap your mind around that. And I look at them like, what? Like, you're crazy. Like, you're crazy.
So what was the feeling like? So when the doctor tells you that feeling of just like, it's probably even you can't even really put words to the feeling, because it's like you have all these dreams, all these ambitions, you're doing so well, you got like your life is all laid out, and then all of a sudden a doctor tells you all that is gone.
I didn't even receive it. Like I mentally did not receive that. So I didn't really experience a lot of emotions besides anger.
Oh, of course.
Because I heard the words that he was saying, but I didn't accept that. Like, if that makes sense. I'm just like, no, okay, whatever. That's your opinion. Like, you don't know.
So let me ask you this. So what brought you to that place where most people would be like freaking out about that? But like, you had built so much up to this point, mentality wise, and that when he said that, like you didn't receive it. So you had a choice. You could either receive what he said and then fall victim to that, or because you have already been in this behavior, this mindset of, you know what, you've gone through so much that this is just something else that I got to go through in order to get to where I'm going. Right.
Yeah. I was still young at the time. I was 24 when this happened. So I was just stubborn. Like, honestly, I had not done a lot of mindset work yet. And all of this. So I was just, I've been stubborn my whole life, and it's a blessing and a curse. But in that situation, it was a blessing to just be stubborn and be defiant. And like that worked for me in that season of life, and specifically for that. And what you said about people like hearing things that people say to them, we have a choice on if we accept or reject. That's somebody's opinion. So you got to be very careful on what you allow people to speak in your life. And this is like a doctor in this case. So this is a very credible source telling me, okay, you're not going to do this. It doesn't matter though. They're not God.
Exactly.
So yes, that is a very credible opinion. It's probably more than an opinion, very educated opinion, but it doesn't matter, because anything is possible with God.
Exactly.
And God's on your side, and you're seeking him, then it doesn't matter what anybody says, because God will make a way where there is no way. And I think, no, you're absolutely right. Speaking words together with faith, like faith with words, like when you speak faith,
the power of words is incredible. Like the power of words. That's why the spoken word, when you speak over someone and you speak the, not getting, religious, but the Bible says that power, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and that the words that you speak could either curse someone or bless someone. And the Bible talks about, we speak blessings, we speak cursings, and that, the words that we speak are so, because they're seeds that we plant into people's lives. And whether it's like, you know what, I don't want that seed, or let me have that seed. I'll take that. And then it's up to us to water it and then God gives the increase on that. And so, but yeah, you're so right, Whitney.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I was young at this time. I had just honestly gotten back into my faith, getting to know God again for like less than a year before that happened. So I was really just getting to know God and, having a relationship with him again, but he planted deep in my spirit already that like, I was going to get through it and he would redeem it. Even though I don't know if I consciously knew that at that time, because I was still just so young, but subconsciously just I knew, and I was very careful on, what I would allow into my mind.
And
very,
this is good. Come on, yes.
It's important when you go through something like that happens to you. You're in a very vulnerable spot, and every decision has to be strategic and intentional. That's on what true. You allow into your mind from what you watch on TV, from what you're reading in books, listening to, who you're around. Like it all matters, because as humans, we're all influenced, whether we know it or not. We're influenced by every single thing that comes through our eyes and into our brain, or through our ears.
Exactly.
And so that I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, to be honest with you. But I was reading Joyce Meyer books about power thought.
I love her.
Yeah, and Battlefield of the Mind, books like that. And only talking to a few select people, and if family members came over and they didn't have anything positive to say, then they were done. I'm like, get out. Get out. I don't want to hear this. Like, I will be on stage again, so don't ever say that I won't again. And like, just made it very clear, like, we're not going to have that conversation. And I probably could have been nicer about it at that time, but I didn't care. Like I was in such a vulnerable spot. Like I knew that if I had to keep my hope, and if I didn't keep my hope, I would not survive. I would not get back to my purpose, my dream that was, almost taken away from me. So I had to stay relentlessly focused on that and staying positive.
Wow. That is incredible. We have to, we become who we hang around. We become what we listen to. We become what we watch. And it's crazy, because even for like myself, like I can probably count my very close friends on one hand. And, my son, it's crazy because my son and we had this conversation. He plays football for Blackman High School. And we were talking about that yesterday, and I was like, name your closest friends. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, so you got friends that they're like ride or die, like they're ride or die. Like you can call them 2 a.m. and they will come pick you up, or like they're going to be, and then you have other friends that like, they're your friends, but you want those friends around you, like you had said in the beginning, that are going to sharpen you, and iron sharpens iron, and people that are on the same level, and people are going to call you out, people are going to put you in check, and you got to receive that, and it's like, and keep you online, and you keep them online, and it's just to have friends like that are on that level is so important, because so many times we can outgrow people. And I always tell myself, like, I want to be able to outgrow people. I don't want to ever be outgrown. I don't want someone to outgrow me. And so that's just incredible what you've gone through, Whitney. So when you train, because you have like, so this is a question that I had written down, is like, so when someone trains with you, what are they getting, number one, and do they understand the quality of the individual that is training them, and the experience, the benefit, and everything that you have gone through, and what you are imparting to them. Like, it's not just any fitness trainer, like it's Whitney Wiser. Like, do your clients, like, I'm sure they understand that, but it's like, for me, I was like, if Whitney Wiser is training me, like it's a benefit, like it's a blessing to have you train someone.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really train people
I
anymore
mean,
in the gym,
yeah.
but the athletes that come to me like for one-on-one coaching, like posing coaching, and then the workshops that I host, yeah, I think they're all pretty bought in because they know my story, and then they know what I accomplished after that, which I still went on to get my pro card, which it took me 3 extra years after that happened to really get competitive again. And then I had to compete numerous times, but I did end up turning pro. And then 2 years after that, qualified and competed in the Olympia, which, for people that aren't familiar with the bodybuilding industry, the Olympia is like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Only the top athletes in the world qualify to compete there. And so, like, that would have been an amazing accomplishment for anybody. But after getting crushed under a vehicle and having to learn how to walk again, it just makes it that
Extra
much
special.
better. Yeah. And so, because of the success that I had in the sport after that, which I have to give all the glory to God, because he is the one that put all this together. He knew, like, she's going to help people. She needs a platform. This is how we're going to do the platform. This is just how I'm imagining, and putting it together. But because of that success, people want to learn how to be successful. So they come to me for that specific reason, but there's always more that they come in that,
So what do the words fitter, wiser, savage mean? Because I love that.
So that's my name now is Whitney Wiser Savage. But I just got married, and so it's perfect.
That's right. Congratulations. And it was on the beach, right?
We were on a yacht in Miami.
Yacht. That's, man. Wow. I saw your husband like lifting you. I was like, dude, your husband is a beast. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm like, wow. That's like Conan the Barbarian or something like that. I'm like, Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of stuff. I was like, wow.
Yeah. So we got married on the water, which is like perfect for us, because that's just, we love being in the sun. We love being on the water. That's like just perfection.
Yeah.
So it was the most perfect situation ever. But yeah, so that's, I didn't just marry him for the branding purposes of his name. Okay. But that's a great, it's just an added benefit.
Yeah.
So it
that's
used to
incredible.
Fitter, stronger, wiser, and then now it's fitter, wiser, savage. And so when I'm talking about that, it's fitter, wiser, and a savage, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all aspects, not just physically, like, because the physical aspect is going to come from when you're emotionally healthy, you have the right mindset, you're spiritually tied into God, then physically, like, all of that is going to show up in your body. And so that's pretty much what it means to me.
That's cool. So what is it? Tell me about your system: plan, commit, execute.
Plan, commit, execute. So that's, my website needs to be updated, because that's kind of related to my when I used to train client. And I need to add a lot to the website. And so I'm in the process of kind of redoing that, just like one piece at a time. I still like that, because it's just like, you have to have a plan, you have to commit to it, and then you have to execute it. It sounds simple, but so many people don't succeed because they don't do any of those 3 things. They don't plan for success. They don't really commit to it. They might say, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to do a bodybuilding competition. Okay, saying, you want to do something and actually deciding and committing to it is a whole different mindset shift. And then execute the plan. A lot of people fall short when it comes to that. Like, they might have a plan, but they don't fully execute it because they're not committed to it.
So how do you, I'm sure you get a lot of people that come to you and say, hey, Whitney, can you coach me on this and that? So it's like, I'm sure you don't take everybody. Like, how do you vet those people out? Like, how do you say, you know what, this person's sorry to say, but this person's going to be a waste of my time. This person actually has potential. And, this is who I'm going to spend my time with, because your time is very valuable and you don't have a lot of it. So how do you sift through that?
So that's actually kind of why I started kind of shifting gears and doing a lot of group workshops and events like
Hmm.
that, because I can help more people with less of my time, because I don't have all the time in the world and I can't be in more
Yeah.
than one place at one time. And so I still do lots of one-on-one coaching. I really don't, there's not an application process. If somebody wants help, I'm going to help them if they are committed to it. And
Hmm.
the way committing is just showing up. If they show up, then they want it. And that's something I love about working with athletes is they have a different mindset than just an average person. Like when
Yeah.
they commit to something, they are all in and they are hungry to learn, like
Hmm.
hungry for it. And that's who I love to help. So I
Yeah.
really have to filter through people, because almost everybody that comes to me, they're already committed. They want to learn and I get to teach them. So I'm blessed with that. But that's the mindset that they already have. And so I will coach everybody that needs help. And then if I don't have any more time, then we'll just do more group stuff.
So I noticed that you had a book, or that you have a book called Shift with Intention.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Because that was
So,
like shift with intention. Like,
it's so
intention is like, we even at the financial institution that I manage, my team, we were talking about the other morning, is that the word intention means to us that I meant to do it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I accidentally did. No, I was purposeful. There was purpose behind it. There was an intent. It was like, I'm meant to do that. And so looking at that, the cover of the book, and then I was reading the back of it, shift with intention.
Yeah. So I have been wanting to write my own book for the longest time. I have people tell me almost every week, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write. I'm like, I know, but I don't know. I just don't have, I don't know. It must not be the time, because I don't feel like I have everything yet to write it. So this opportunity came to me at the beginning of this year to be one of 40 authors. That it's an anthology. So there's 40 chapters, 40 different authors. And so we all have our own story in there. And
That's
it's
awesome.
all, I know, right? And so it was like the perfect stepping stone for me. Like, okay, I'm going to be one chapter. I can handle one chapter. Now I'm more open to starting my own book, which will come soon. Maybe in a year, I'll have it out. But this Shift with Intention and Soar just got released. And the most amazing group of authors. And Jamie is the one that is in charge of putting it all together. She's the most amazing person and has an amazing story. And so all of our purpose is just to help other people overcome by sharing our stories and our insight. And so my chapter in the book is called The Power of Proper Alignment. And
Mm.
and kind of take that two ways, because I have a crushed spine. Okay. Being aligned physically is important, but being aligned with the right network is what I kind of tie into my story and what is so important. And we've talked about it a lot so far on this interview on like
Yeah.
what you allow around you, what you allow into your life. And early on in my career and in my entrepreneur life, I didn't necessarily have the right influences around me. And God started putting
Man,
the right people in my life.
that
And
is.
to tell you, like, another struggle that I had at first is I had nobody to talk to that was like a think outside the box type person back then. Like, I
Hmm.
had nobody to talk to that could see like what I was trying to do and could like even understand the vision that I was trying to explain, as horribly as I was probably communicating it. But Brittany Turner, one of my best friends now, she came to me on Instagram. She tricked me into training her because I was a trainer at the time. I'm like, no, I don't coach competitors. And so she told me she wasn't going to compete. And so I started training her, and I would meet her, a couple of times a week, but she is a major entrepreneur, multiple businesses. And we would end up having so many business discussions during our training sessions because she got what I was trying to do, because she had already done so many things that people told her that she wouldn't be able to do. And so that I got that one person. Sometimes you just need that one person.
Yes.
That understands you and that like you can talk to. And so that was her. And then God put another resource in my life that was another think outside the box type person. And he had all these resources to production. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea what I'm going to do for the production of this show. So I'm glad you just showed up. Perfect timing. Thanks, God. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
So that was kind of the beginning of that. And then over the past couple of years, it's just been like hitting home on how important it is. And the mastermind group that I'm a part of, G-Force, which Brittany started 2 years ago during COVID, was like life-saving because the network of there's Force for Good entrepreneurs. So it's all entrepreneurs that have their own businesses and they want to impact the world like in some way. That's why they have a business, so they can have money to give to causes or to make changes, make an impact in the world. And being around that type of caliber and mindset of people every single week on a Zoom call has been life-changing.
Oh, yeah.
And so she also has a private island that she bought and hosts retreats on that I get to lead. That I get to lead workouts. I get to lead sessions on aligning your health with your life, the vision of your life, and how to overcome, and like all this stuff. And it just, the things that I've learned and the people that I've got to meet and networked with now is just, I can't even tell you.
I know, it's amazing. It's like, I know exactly what you're talking about, because like many a night, like, living here in Murfreesboro, my next door neighbor, we met through the whole PPP thing. He needed a PPP loan, and we were doing PPP loans. And so we did a PPP loan for him. And now he's on the board of my nonprofit. And we sit out sometimes, and my wife's like, what are you doing, Josh? Come on. I'm like, we're talking. And it's like, we're talking about nonprofit. We're talking about his business. He's a commercial broker. And we're just talking. And every time, I'm telling you, every time that we leave, and he'll come over maybe once, twice a week. And we got the fire going out in the, in the back. And we're just talking. We leave so full. Like, it's like every time we talk, it's just like we walk away with value added. And I think that every time you talk to somebody, you should leave with value added to your life. And then they leave with value added to their life with a new perspective, a new edge, a new look on things. It's like, oh, I never thought about that before. That's why we have to have these. And that's why it's so important, like I know exactly what you're talking about. And then people that don't see your vision or see what you're seeing is like, whether they're small-minded, and they're only can see they're only they're limited on, they've limited themselves versus thinking outside the box. And it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I mean, you talk about Steve Jobs, you talk about, Tesla. I mean, whoever would have known that Tesla would be what it is today? I mean, it was a dream. It was people, but it's just crazy. And then just to sit back and say, only God. Like, there's things that you do, and there's accomplishments that you attain, that you were like, you just been in the right place at the right time. But it wasn't really the right place at the right time. It's like God had put you in the spot right where that door was going to open, because he's like, you have a purpose, you have a plan, and you're going to fulfill your plan and your destiny. But these are the people that I'm putting in your path. And it's a beautiful thing how God works, and how doors just open. And sometimes doors close, and then we find out, oh, now I know why that door closed, because it wasn't really the best thing for me. But My last question, and I know Rick is 2:56. And we've talked a little bit about it. How do you pour into yourself? Like, what's your favorite book you're reading, a podcast, a YouTube channel? Like, what is it that you gain your source from? And I know devotion, the word, spending time in that. But what are some how does Whitney pour into herself?
Oh man, this is crazy that you're asking me this because I've been doing so much more of this lately. Like
Mhm.
just so much.
It's so important. Like, it is so important that you got to feed yourself, because you're giving, and you got to be in feeding yourself, and like you said, aligning on different, like, financially and spiritually and emotionally and physically, and it's like you got to keep everything in balance, and you got to keep just
Yeah.
just pouring into yourself.
Yeah. And lately I feel like God has been calling me even closer. So I've been even more obsessed with just learning and being in the word and reading books
Mm.
lately. But I've definitely been feeling like some kind of spiritual shift. He's probably trying to prepare me for whatever is coming next, because that's what it feels like. I know this feeling,
Yeah,
but I read,
get ready to get stretched.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not always a fun process, but I've been here before, so I know. But I love reading just anything by Christian authors. Joyce Myers, as you know, I said earlier,
Hmm.
love her books. Right now I'm reading Whisper by Mark Batterson, talking
Ooh.
about hearing the voice of God. I'm reading that. I'm also reading How to Be Confident and Succeed at Being Yourself by Joyce Meyer, kind of in preparation for the retreat that I'm going to be hosting. Just really going through like why people, don't have the life they love, or why, and it all starts with identity and self-identity. And so reading a lot about that. The first book that I ever read that changed my life, like, and I only started, it's so crazy because I've been thinking like I was not this person 5 or 6 years ago. I'm a completely different person today than I was 6 years ago, because you could not get me to sit down and read one page in a book 6 years ago. But now, like, I am just, if I haven't read that day, I'm dying for it. Like, I need that. So I read Soul Print by Mark Batterson years ago, and I was just crying through every chapter, because just thinking about it makes me almost emotional now. But it really helped me start connecting the dots on things that had happened in my past, or things that, not necessarily traumatic things, those too, but just experiences that I had, and how that was probably training for what I was doing right then, or what I was going to be doing. And man, like when I started connecting the dots, I would just start crying. Like, I'm going to start crying now.
Hmm.
But it was just like, that's why this happened. And that's because I know
Yeah.
how to handle this now. And I'm going to have to deal with something similar to this in the future, or I'm going to have to help somebody that is going to go through this. And so when all those dots started connecting, I was like, man, it was just powerful. But I also listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and I have a mentor that I meet with once a week. I don't know if I want to call her like a pastor. She's almost like my spiritual mentor, but she's also my
Yeah.
friend.
Hmm.
I meet with her almost every week. And so
I
just
think
think
it's very important you have a mentor. Like, I think everybody needs to have a mentor in your life. And I think mentors play a big part in your development and growth, not only spiritually, but a spiritual mentor. And you probably need mentors like a physical mentor, a trainer, right? Or like you need a spiritual mentor, and you can have a financial mentor, and just mentors, different mentors that you, not just anyone, but select mentors that you really trust, that you accept those words coming into you, the speak into your life. So
yeah,
that's
yeah, it's
awesome.
yep.
Well, thank you so much, Whitney. Like, this was this is an incredible conversation with you. You've definitely added a lot of value to me. I can't wait for um, those that listen to our podcast, and it is growing to really listen to this, because not I think, but I know that they can walk away from listening to this podcast with being empowered, being challenged, having a different mindset, changing their mindset, different directions, changing those behaviors, and really empowering them to reach their goal and attain it, and to be savage about it, and to be the
Yeah.
wiser about it, and to be the
Wise
wiser about it. And so I mean, it's so incredible. And so thank you so much for um, messaging me back, and for allowing me to have the conversation with you today. I really appreciate it. And you've added so much to my life, and your story is incredible. You got great things ahead of you. You're doing incredible stuff. And I just hope and pray that along this journey that we would still be able to collaborate in some way, maybe even meet in person one day. I ran across Charles Rucker at Blackman High School. He had him and his wife, and they had a table set up. And Charles is cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's gonna be coming on as well. I'm gonna be talking with Charles. But thank you so much, Whitney. I so much have enjoyed this, and I would love down the road, to reconnect on here again, and just to hear what great things God is doing in your life, and just in the business, and how it's growing. And it's just exciting. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on here. Anytime I can share my story, God gave it to me for a reason. So
Definitely.
if it can help anybody else, then I'm going to share it. So thank you so much for having me on.